Hello, students. I'm Dr. Manisha, your ENT faculty in Marrow. And with us today is Dr. Angad, who has achieved an amazing score of 244 in the recently held FMGE exam. So, welcome,
Thank
Dr.
you,
Angad,
ma'am.
and congratulations
Thank
from
you.
the entire Marrow team and also from
Thank you
all
so
our
much,
viewers.
ma'am.
Kaisa lag raha hai?
Thank you, ma'am. It feels amazing, but it is so unreal. Like, I didn't expect this. It's a shock.
How was the paper? It is such an amazing score, Dr. Angad. Kaisa tha paper? How was the paper? How would you score it?
Ma'am, for me, paper, it was a moderately difficult paper. For paper one, it was fine with me, but paper two, there was a lot of surgery integrated questions with medicine, like anatomy. So my surgery was a bit weak. So the paper two was difficult for me, more difficult.
Okay. So, what plan of Marrow did you take?
Ma'am, I was on plan C from my pre-final year.
Okay. So, you started quite early. Do you feel that starting in pre-final made a difference?
Yes, ma'am. It helps you build your concepts earlier. So, like in exams, what happens is there's only so much you can retain, and then all of the options you have to rule out. That's based on your concept. So, I think the earlier you start, the better it is, and it will help building your concept because you have time when you start early. So, I think it does help you. It gives you a great advantage.
Okay. So, being a Plan C user, you started in pre-final year, and that is what you recommend to all the students also. And yes, I
Yes,
definitely feel
ma'am.
that it is a great idea to start early if you actually want to enjoy the journey, right?
Yes, ma'am. It
And
will help you. Sorry. It will help you
so,
like
tell me,
enjoy the cons.
yes, tell me.
Yeah, it will help you like build your concept so you'll actually understand medicine. I think that is what makes it fun.
Yeah, you can actually inculcate it, marinate in it. But when you start early in pre-final, what was the motivation that kept you going, and how did you maintain your consistency? Like, what subjects did you finish in pre-final, and when did you do the final subjects? Did you start it in pre-final, or did you wait for the final year?
Ma'am, I start the main motivation was to pass profs. Like I wanted to score good in my profs, and I wanted to have good concepts. I just didn't want to like cram the knowledge. So I started based on that. So I wanted it to help in my profs, and it helped a lot. I started with your ENT videos first, and like it started with ENT, then I spread to different subjects, and it was helping me build concepts from seventh semester. So that's when I started, and in my seventh semester, honestly, I just completed for the pre-final subject. In my pre-final, I just completed ENT, Opthal, and CM. I didn't go forward. I tried to go forward with medicine. I tried endocrine, but it just wasn't fitting. At that time, I was like I wanted to also try for step one, but that didn't happen. So I was reading first aid for a bit. So in my final, I just did the final year subjects. And yeah, ma'am.
Okay. So, if I ask you, which were your favorite subjects and which were your favorite faculty of Marrow?
Ma'am, I loved ENT. Like my dad's an ENT, so it was just like I wanted him to like see that I was studying the concepts and stuff. So ENT work it came naturally. The way you taught it, it became it was the subject I was least worried about. I loved Dr. Utsal for Opthal because it was such a difficult. Like when I studied Opthal alone, it felt a humongous task, but Dr. Utsal helped a lot. And in my final year, I loved OB Gynae Dr. Sakshi ma'am. The way she taught it was perfect. It made the subjects very easy to remember.
Wow, great. So, did you make your own notes or did you follow the Marrow notes?
I just followed Marrow notes. I am very lazy person as such, so I don't make my own notes. I just take whatever notes I have.
And when did you start doing the questions? You saw the videos. Did you do the questions of those particular modules that time itself, or did you do it later?
Ma'am, I did the questions that time itself for my pre-final. In my final year, I could not be very consistent with the question bank because I was trying to complete medicine using Dr. Rakesh Nair's video, so it was a lot. So I was just focusing on medicine, just doubling down on medicine.
Okay. So you finished your final year, and that was, I think, in December, right?
Yes, ma'am, I completed my
And then you
course
came
in
back.
December.
Yes. So what
and then I
was
came
your
back.
revision like? How did you schedule your revision so that it's been just 6 months time that you got the time for revision? So how did you finish everything using Marrow in revision? Like what are the things of Marrow that you used for revision?
Ma'am, I started a bit late. Honestly, I was just enjoying after I came back, like done with prof service. I started a bit late. I think I started late March. So for me, I wanted to focus on all the subjects I had read from Marrow. So the pre-final and final years, I just did the revision videos for those, and I read the notes, and I solved the past year questions on the Marrow that they have. So I wanted to make sure that I don't get the past year questions wrong. And for the other subjects, I used different sources, and that's how I.
Okay, so you use the revision videos also. You saw the revision videos also. Did you do the MCQ discussion also?
No, ma'am, I didn't have time for MCQ discussion. So I just did the revision videos and the notes and PYQs. And I was just making sure that whatever I read, I don't get that wrong because it would be painful. So I just made sure that just read this and make sure you know this.
Okay, so your focus was that all that you've already studied, that should be very strong. Rather than
Yes, ma'am.
starting new things, you wanted to revise everything. So, did you also give grant test during this time? You
Yes,
did
ma'am.
the notes, you saw the videos, and the MCQs also,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
did quite a bit. So, did you also give the grant test, and when did you give the first grant test?
Ma'am, I gave my first grant test when I came, after, I think in March, late March. I just wanted to see where I stand overall. So I think I scored 169 in that grant test, the first one I gave. So I was like, and there were subjects like I saw the questions, and there were questions I thought I knew, like for example, ENT, the anatomy of middle ear, and stuff. I thought I knew, I had studied them, but I forgot the basic facts. So I thought, okay, let me make sure I get these stuff right. I don't want to get these stuff wrong in my exam. Plus, with the recent trend of the exam, it was a lot of ENT questions and opthal questions that were coming in. So I was making sure that my clinical subjects are good. So that's what I focused on for the first 2 months, I think.
Okay. So, and what was your score in the last grant test just before the exam?
Ma'am, I don't remember exactly. For the paper one, I think it was around 116 or 17, and paper two, it was 118 or 19.
So, okay, so it was around like 230, something around 230,
Yes,
right? And you're
yes,
right now
ma'am.
also
Somewhere
around 244.
240.
Okay, and
Yes,
what
ma'am.
did you also give the mock test, national mock test for FMG?
Yes, ma'am. That was the last grant test I gave, the national mock. So
So,
it
okay,
was,
it was more or less around your score.
yes, ma'am. It
Okay,
was
and
close.
did
You
you
can say.
also participate in marathons?
No, ma'am. I couldn't. I actually think I just started very late. I should have started in Feb, and that would have given me a more decent time to not at the end of my preparation, there was a lot of backlogs I had to deal with because I started late. So I think if anyone's starting, they should start as early as possible. Do not wait for your prof results. Just trust yourself and start your preparation as soon as you're done.
So, when you started in March, how many revisions could you do?
And I did two revisions, and last 10 day, like I could just basically go through the subjects which I felt I was weak at.
So, in the last 10 days, you did not revise everything, only the subjects that you felt you were weak at.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
how did you
So for
compile everything for the last revision? Like you told me that you started in March, and from March till this time, that is in July, you could, in 2 3 months, you could finish two revisions and last 10 days. So, in those revisions,
yes, ma'am.
you must have finished all the subjects, right? So did you use your notes? Have you compiled everything in one place somewhere? Did you use that, or did you just do the questions again and again? What did you do? Did you use the custom modules? Like how did you go about it?
And I when I was so after my first reading and my second revision and I was going through the stuff, I was making, for example, every subject I completed, I was just adding it like once a week. I just do a custom module to see, like, just make sure the subject doesn't leave my brain, at least the past year questions. So I was just creating a custom module with past year Marrow FMG PIQs and lead PYQs. I didn't focus on NSCT much. And yes, ma'am. And for subjects, I think there were a lot of, you cannot revise everything at the end. So you just make sure. So whatever you do not know, like, for example, if I open a page and I'm like, okay, I feel I have never read this before. So I just highlight that and read that again. So I make sure, okay, this is the concept I'm forgetting. So I'll just do that. And for the grant test, there was like, it gives you a breakdown of whatever you're weak at. So you can just make sure, okay, these are the subjects where other people are scoring well, and I need to get my score at least to their level. So and then there always going to be some questions that no one attempts. So if a question has like less than 20% strike rate, you don't need to worry about that. But a question that 50 or 60% of people are getting correct, so I think you should get that correct. And I think with the in my last grant test, the Marrow had added a feature. There was like a silly mistakes like for like option, so you could just see wherever you made a silly mistake, like whatever people got right, and you got wrong.
Yes, I think that is very important. So you used also the graphs and the analytics
Yes,
following the
ma'am.
GTs, right? Yes, so it is very, very important that what everybody is making correct, you cannot mistake those questions. And if only
Yes,
a few
ma'am.
people are making it correct, even if you have made a mistake there, then that is just okay. You can just leave it. Yes, okay, that is so great. So, like, did you review all the grant tests that day itself, or did you give some time?
Ma'am, I used to review few questions every day. If I did like all the grand tests in one day, it took a lot of time, and I just felt I regretted it because I'm not completing anything in that time because I was already short at time. So I all the questions I used only reviewed whatever I got wrong or whatever I guessed, but I didn't know like how it got correct. So only those questions. Otherwise, I didn't check the correct questions.
So your revision was mainly you used to do everyday revision of some subjects, whatever you had planned according to your timetable. Along with that,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
used to do custom modules of all that you've already done so that it is a part of revision and it sticks to your brain. And at the same
Yes,
time, the
ma'am.
GTs that you used to give, you used to solve
Just
them
few
every
questions.
day, little by
Yes, ma'am.
little. Yes, everything.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
was a very great strategy. Great.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am. And the
so
last
uh, yes.
sorry, in the last one there was a Marrow put a feature where they you like all the questions you got wrong in the grant test, they made a question bank or based on that like 50 question bank. So I think I solved one of that, and I think it's a great feature. You can use that to great advantage because it's basically saving you time for reviewing the grant test. You can just solve those questions, and these are the questions you got wrong, so you can just review those questions more.
Yes. So what I feel is that we have a lot of features in the app, and we actually want to all of you to use those features so that you get an edge, no, not only over yourself, but also an edge over others also, and you can break through, you can achieve your dream. So that feels so nice when you use all that and you really are able to achieve your dream. We feel that we have achieved that dream. So that is very great. What advice would you like to give to your colleagues, to your friends?
And if you are in your second or third year, the earlier you start, the better it is because you'll have a lot of time to build your concept. So when you come these last 6 months or last 3 months of your preparation, it will be just revising those concepts rather than just learning a completely new concept as such. So I think that if you are also planning for NEET PG and stuff like that, so it's better to have your concepts built in the start because the questions mostly in the competitive papers, it's just based on ruling out. So if you have read somewhere something somewhere, it comes to you like you'll remember when you're sitting in the paper, you'll remember something you read in the first prof that you never could have recalled as such. So I think earlier you start, and even if you missed out and you have 6 months or 3 months, I think if you just focus and you start studying like 10 hours, 12 hours a day, you can easily crack it because medicine is based mainly our questions are fact based. So if you can cram those facts up in a little amount of time, you can still do well. It's never too late.
So, Dr. Angad has given us both the strategy of all who have started early and even who have started late, then don't give up. This is how you can do it. That is great. Thank you so much, Dr. Angad. And
Thank you, ma'am.
you told me that yes, this will also help in NEET PG. Definitely, it will. So, I am hoping to interview again in NEET PG
Thank you,
also.
ma'am.
And
Thank you,
what
ma'am.
is your choice of interest? Which subject PG would you like to do?
Honestly, I'm leaning towards ENT or medicine. So one of these.
Great. Great. Wonderful. And may God bless you. And yes, we are there
Thank
with
you,
you
ma'am.
and helping you
Thank you,
to
ma'am.
achieve your dream. That is great. We are very, very proud of you. Very proud of you.
Thank you,
God bless
ma'am.
you.
Thank you, ma'am.
God
Thank you, ma'am.
bless you.